Hi, I'm Tristan, and welcome to Plastic Oddities. Okay, so today's episode's a bit of a how-to on the lost art of basing. Yeah, lost art. Most of us, one of the things that we face when we finish building our kit is what to actually do with it. If you're like me, I've got shelving space and the kit just goes on it, and it really doesn't, yay, I've built a kit. But one of the things I guess that people like to do is, just to display their kit, especially if you've got your kits publicly on display somewhere in your house. Like mine's not, mine's under my house in the cellar. As it says, one of those little lost things of, how do you base stuff? So I thought I'd offer you today, kind of making this stuff as I go along. I probably should have thought about what I was going to say. I thought I'd offer you today some of the tips and tricks I guess that I've used in my kits. I've got about 400 or 500 model kits in my display area, some on bases, some not on bases, as well as going through like the difference between a base, a stand, a vignette, diorama, things like that. So if you're like me, one of the first things that you really struggle with is I want to do a base. How do I do that? As in, like, physically, how does one do that? Just build a base again. So, what I've done is I'm currently building a Shenandoah custom model, which you may have seen some work in progress shots of on this channel and various social media. Please check it out. And I just thought, this is some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I may as well take some photos and share with you. So probably the first thing to get your head around is the difference between, in my opinion, and please, if you disagree with me, comment down below. It's my son sneezing in the background. Is the difference between a base and a stand, and a vignette and a diorama. So for me, all right, this is me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But for me, the difference between a base and a stand. So a stand is something that actually connects to your model kit to give it a sense of movement or elevation, all that type of thing. Probably the best known stands that we've got in Gunpla are the ones made by Bandai themselves. So it's a plate with an arm coming off it. If I was really prepared, I would have bought one up. And you can sort of, it plugs into your model's butt. Most of the time, we're in the back, and you can it gives your model a sense of movement. So it can be like flying, dabbing, whatever, feet off the ground, your ballerina pose, pointer pose, all that type of thing. So that, to me, that's what a stand is. A base is essentially a flat platform that the kit stands on. It's pretty simple. Bases can be decorated, but then if you decorate them, are you moving into what we call a vignette? And if it's overly decorated and massively is it moving into what we call a diorama? So I guess for me, stand, movement, pretty cheap type thing. A base can be a simple platform through to a little bit of decoration, whatever. A vignette is a small diorama. Again, to me, small diorama is designed to showcase the model as well as telling a story. But it's not like full fully blown out thing that's got like all sorts of crap going on. And a diorama is probably like the top end of the scale, where the model is almost not the centerpiece of the display. And that, to me, is probably the difference between a vignette and a diorama. With a vignette, it's like usually a smaller type thing. You often hear some models talk about, no bigger than a CD, for example. So about that round. For those young people that don't know what CDs, about yay round, and that's the maximum size for a vignette. Airplane guys do pretty good vignettes, though obviously their vignettes are a bit bigger because the planes are bigger. You often see some really good vignettes in the ma.k stuff as well. It's kind of like personal, I guess. And don't take this as gospel. Please don't, the rules according to Forsyth. No, it's not what it is. But yeah, I guess, to me, those differences are there. So it is a size thing. It is an intent thing. That's what she said. And unfortunately, these things can cause stress to people because they, kind of think that the model's incomplete if they don't have like this massive diorama or something like that. So again, as a recap, in my opinion, stand, simple device used to hold your model kit, give it some sort of sense of movement, all that type of thing. Fairly cheap and easy. I can show you how to make stands from scratch. Really, it's just a piece of rod and a base. This really is. Then we have bases. A base to me is that it's a flat platform, little to minimal decoration. As soon as the decoration sort of gets to a point where it's adding to the story that you're trying to tell with your model kit, becomes a vignette. Vignettes tend to be quite small, and the model kit is still the central part of the whole setup, though I have seen some beautifully big vignettes. And then you have dioramas, which, as I said, massive blown things, and the model kit is really just a small part of that. So yeah.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I really crave validation, so if you enjoy my content or if it helps you in any way, please consider liking and subscribing as per the animation, which should be about there.
Okay, so as I mentioned, one of the things that I find difficult is in getting started is actually where to get stuff from. So my place of choice is basically what we'd call a $2 shop here in Australia. One of my favourite ones is Daiso. So next series of photos, we'll be showing you some of the stuff that I've picked up from Daiso. If you're not familiar, Daiso is a Japanese chain shop, and in Japan everything's sold at 100 yen plus tax, so it works out at about 108 yen, which is probably what, about $1.20 Australian, give or take. Here in Australia they're sold at $2.80, go figure. I can't do the math on that, but that's what it works out at. And they sell all sorts of stuff. Most of it's crap, but if you're going with an eye for looking for stuff for modelling, you can usually find some good stuff. So check the video, check the slideshow, what do you want to call it, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so as you can see on screen, this is a box with a lid. The lid is clear. It's $2.80 at Daiso here in Australia, so it's not that expensive. But for what you're paying for, it makes a pretty good introductory base, and you can actually get two parts out of it, which is pretty cool. Okay, so as mentioned, the box comes with two parts, the lid and the bottom bit. I'm going to focus on the lid today, but the first thing that I want to do is to actually reinforce the clear part of the lid with some sprue. You can also use pla rod as well, because the clear part of the lid actually isn't that solid. It's a very thin piece of plastic. So putting a bit of bracing in, instead I've just glued that in, and it's actually made it quite solid. Okay, obviously the next part of this is to get a piece of pla plate and cut it out to size so it fits in snugly into the box area, as you can see. You could actually leave it clear if you wanted to and put a picture underneath it. If you want to take your stand to the next level, what you could do is to get some scrap pieces of pla plate and just glue them on top, give some interesting shapes and levels and things like that. As you can see in the next set of shots, I've just placed my Sinanju on top of it, and it's a pretty good fit. I'm not going to complain about that. I'm quite happy with how that came out. And because we're all about the bargains here at Plastic Oddities, the bottom of the box also can serve as a base or a stand, as you can see in these shots. Quite simple. Okay, some other things I found at Daiso, again, all $2.80 Australian. It's this tray, flip it over, instant base. This pencil case or pencil box, again, when you flip it over, instant plinth. And my favourite one that I found was this combination box and lid, which again, when you turn it upside down, you'll end up with, bang, 2 stands or bases that can be used for $2.80. The other thing that I found that was pretty cool was this box or packet of 5 MDF squares, which measured 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres. Some other things I have in my collection to use as stands. I'm not sure what you'd call these. They're protective corners off a packing box. And as you can see, make a really cool little stand that you could put a figure in. The other thing that you could do is actually turn them upside down, glue some pla plate on top, and then suddenly again you've got an interesting base or a stand. Another regular go-to in the modelling community when it comes to making bases or stands is the old-fashioned photo frame. You can take the glass out or leave the glass in, it doesn't really matter, and you've got a square-shaped or rectangular-shaped base that, again, with a little bit of reinforcement, makes a very nice way to display your models. The other thing that I have at my disposal is a collection of off-cut bits of wood. I get these from work and I've sort of scavenged them from around the neighbourhood, and I've got some really nice squares of wood that I can cut up with my drop saw to again make some plinths. And the other thing that I really like using is a lot of offcuts from the deck that we had put in. Little small squares, again, all about 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres.
Okay, thanks for watching. I genuinely hope that that was of some help to you. It's Christmas here in Australia, so Merry Christmas. Yeah, thanks for watching. As I said, if you liked it, subscribe, like, all that YouTube crap. See you guys.